At ease in Zion, Amos chapter 6. You know, in our last video, we looked into chapter 5, and what we saw was this beautifully wrapped box. There were religious activity going on, songs, assemblies, offerings, but when God opened it, it was empty. Now in chapter 6, God is showing why. It wasn't simply ignorance, it wasn't weakness, it was comfort. Comfort. Here's our first point. The danger of being at ease. Amos chapter 6, verse 1. Woe to them that are at ease in Zion. Zion is God's presence. So they were in the right place, but the wrong condition. Spiritually relaxed, morally numb, confident without examination. So the word woe is not mild disappointment. It is a divine warning. The greatest threat is not persecution. It is complacency. So you can sit in Zion and still be far from God. And so in our second point, I want to make this false comparisons and false confidence. And you can look at Amos 6, verse 2 and 3, where God asked them, look at the other nations that fail. Are you better, stronger, immune? They assumed that judgment was far away. So, and it said, ye that put far away the evil day, right? So today, we do the same when we say stuff like, God understands. It's not that serious. Judgment isn't for us. Complacency convinces us consequences are far off or distant. So, in our third point I want to make is that comfort without compassion. Amos 6, verse 4 through 6. This is the heart of the chapter. Well, they had beds of ivory, fine food, music, and wine in abundance. You know, people get drunk, expensive oils. But God says they are not grieved for the affliction of Joseph. They were entertained, but not broken, blessed, but not burdened, prosperous, but not compassionate. And here's the connection. In chapter 5, justice was not flowing. And so in chapter 6, we see why. They didn't care enough to let it flow. And so in our application for us, if worship does not produce compassion, it is still just an empty box. So this next point, we look at pride in self-made success. Amos 6, verse 13. Have we not taken to us horns by our own strength? They believed that prosperity proved righteous, trusting their own power, their position, and progress. And so the application for our church is, can a church can grow numerically and decline spiritually, and a believer can even prosper materially and be decaying morally. So God is not impressed with palaces. He measures the heart. In this next point, I want to look at inevitable outcome of complacency. Amos 6, verse 7, 11, and 14. In chapter 5, Amos sang a funeral song, remember? And in chapter 6, that funeral becomes a reality. Captivity and destruction are certain. So why, you say, comfort replaced conviction, luxury replaced lament, pride replaced repentance. When a people stop grieving sin, judgment is no longer delayed. So this next point, listen to this, the spiritual pattern that we must recognize. Chapter 5, empty worship. Chapter 6, comfortable hearts. See that pattern? It's comfort, complacency, corruption, captivity. It always begins with being, quote, at ease. So the call for today, the message is not stop enjoying your blessings. The message is don't let blessings blind you. Ask yourself, am I spiritually alert? Am I grieved by injustice? Do I welcome correction? Does my worship produce righteousness? Have I grown comfortable with the things that once convicted me? You know, Zion is not dangerous. Being at ease in Zion is. So, in conclusion, from comfort back to seeking, chapter 5 said, "Seek me and live." Chapter 6 shows what happens when we stop seeking. The remedy is the same: seek, awaken, repent, care, grieve, act. God still desires justice flowing, righteousness streaming, and hearts awake. So listen, church, let me speak plainly here. God is not looking for some perfect performance from you. He is looking for your heart to be awakened. It is possible to sit right here in Zion, sing all the songs, know the orders of worship, and still drift in the spiritual sleep. Amos warned the people who were comfortable, who were blessed, successful, religious, but they weren't but unmoved. They were not grieved over sin. They were not burdened for others. They were at ease. So comfort became their captivity. So today, the question is not, did you attend worship? The question is, are you seeking the Lord? Are you awake? Are you tender? Are you letting righteousness flow? So the greatest danger is not outside persecution. You know, that happens all the time. It is apathy inside. If you've grown comfortable, wake up. If you've grown numb, ask God to soften you. If you've stopped seeking, start seeking again. Here's a promise that he makes: seek the Lord and live. Don't just be in Zion. Don't be at ease in Zion. Be alive in Zion. So again, thank you for letting me into your space today. May the God of heaven and earth bless you and keep you until next time. Thank you.